recording now.
Good afternoon. This is Gloria Nelson with TUG, and it's our pleasure to welcome you to this afternoon's WebPresented webinar, Quoting and Job Management for Wholesale Distributors. Before we get started, it would give me great joy to be able to give a quick plug for TUG today. And what I'd like to do is to remind you, if you have not yet registered, and more importantly, made your hotel reservations, our room block is going to be closing this week on Friday, and we want to make sure that you are under roof to be able to garner all the great content and networking opportunities that we have available. On Monday, we're very excited to have Nick Tassler with us, who is our keynote speaker that day. Nick is an internationally acclaimed thought leader, organizational psychologist, and #1 best-selling author of count them four, best-selling books that are intuitive books in the art and counter science of making decisions and leading change. And on Tuesday, sorry about that. On Tuesday, we have Infor's new CEO, Kevin Samuelson, who is going to be talking about the changes coming from Infor, and also from Kelly Squizero, who is Infor's Director of Industry and Solution Strategies on changes and distributions in the distribution industry. So make sure that you go over and make your reservations. And without any further ado, it is my pleasure to go ahead and make James Gerdes, who is one of the co-founders of WebPresented, and take it away, James.
Thanks very much, Gloria. And hopefully you can see my screen okay. And I want to just start out by thanking you and the rest of the TUG team for everything you do. WebPresented's been a proud supporter of TUG for 12 years consecutively, and we're huge proponents of the value that businesses get out of it. So thanks for everything you do, and we'll see you there in Dallas in a month or so. So today's session, I'm going to go over the quoting and job management features of WebPresented's flagship product, WPCRM. While WebPresented's product is a full-scale enterprise-grade CRM platform, several of our users are using our quoting and job management tools to manage the end-to-end quoting and job management processes within their organization. So I'm going to give you a demonstration today of some customer systems that emphasize how WPCRM is used to manage the quoting process. I'm joined today by Amanda Kachaylo, Jeff Phillips, and Steve Hesson from our sales and marketing teams. And as you can see here, there are much more colorful characters than me. This is a real life picture. I exist in gray and black and white. Okay, so let's move on then about the agenda for today. What I'm going to walk you through is a very brief introduction to CRM, to WebPresented CRM, what differentiates us from other CRM platforms, and how we provide a competitive advantage to distributors in a very competitive marketplace. I'll take 5 minutes just to walk you through a simple day in the life of a salesperson, show you how they use some of the integrated features of WPCRM that connect to your back-end ERP system. So much more than an empty box CRM, we're fully integrated with your Infor ERP system. So in doing so, that provides you leading insights into your customers, but also much more effective way of interacting with customers and building quotes and managing jobs and projects and opportunities. Then I'll go into the quoting components of the WebPresented CRM. I'll show you how to create general sales quotes. I'll show you how to create job quotes, which accept multiple customers. I'll show you how we manage the bidding process and how we manage bills and materials in more complex scenarios, including getting your purchasing team involved if there's custom ordering and vendor management and vendor requisition done as well. WebPresented, quick introduction. We've been our product's been around since 2003. We have over 150 Infor ERP customers running on WebPresented CRM platform. That's over 20,000 salespeople using our tool across the US and North America, Canada, and Europe on a daily basis. WebPresented CRM is a critical part of those distribution sales teams' daily lives. The large portion of it, like I mentioned before, is in the quoting portion, and many of our customers actually use our quoting tool in place of the ERP system to enter quotes. There's a lot of benefits that I'll go into as I go throughout my system demo. The platform itself, not only is it a quoting tool, customer relationship management, there's BI, marketing, order entry components, as well as a very, very robust mobile offering. Our fundamental principle that drives WebPresented's product and our company's success is that we have to provide value to the salesperson. The everyday salesperson is out in the field who's using our software. If every day we don't answer the question, what's in it for me? Why are you using this tool? And if the answer is not because it makes me better at what I do, it makes me more efficient, more effective, improves communication, collaboration with the rest of my team, then we're not doing our job properly. So what makes WPCRM different to other CRMs is our level of adoption. Our salespeople that use WPCRM absolutely love the tool, and we can certainly talk about that if we see you at TUG, and we can get a lot of very happy and successful customers' testimonials to that point. The system's very easy to use. It's intuitive. By no means is it a old-fashioned, what we call it in quotes, business application. This is a modern, fast, optimized for mobile web application that you would expect to see if you were downloading a best-of-breed application from the Apple Store or from your Android store. It's very easy to use, requires minimal training, and is very intuitive. Where does WPCRM fit in? Well, of course, we connect in real time with your ERP system, so your whether that be SX.e or Facts or A+, or any of SHIMS, any of the Infor distribution ERP platforms. We can also pull in data from your business intelligence tool, work with your e-commerce system, even connect with Outlook and Exchange and Gmail, depending on how you manage your email and calendar. How do we help our customers? We provide them with a competitive advantage. We put their customers at the center of their world. So not only do your sales teams interact with your customers like the traditional model, but now we put the customer at the center of all different departments, whether that be the inside sales team that's building quotes, whether that be the sales team that's capturing requirements from your customers, or the purchasing team that's now going out and actually acquiring, requisitioning those products for your quote. All of these departments collaborate, communicate with one another in order to provide your customer with the best service possible. Final slide before I get into a real product demo is something that you're probably not expecting to see in a boring old quoting application demonstration. And this is a Netflix screen. I'm sure you're very familiar with this screen. And why do I bring this up? Well, first of all, Netflix, it takes a lot of information in the back end and provides a very easy to use, intuitive interface. Anybody can use this tool. But importantly, what Netflix does, that WebPresented does as well, is analyzes a vast amount of historical data in order to come up with a unique, tailored experience for every single one of its customers. So just as you're building quotes or creating opportunities for your customers, WebPresented takes the entire history of not only that customer's sales and invoices and quotes, but the entirety of your customer's invoice and sales data, and starts making recommendations and suggestions based on that historical information. So while we're not looking in the past, we're looking into the future for these trailing indicators and new recommendations, new opportunities, and new suggestions for your customers. And that's how we help your sales team become better at what they do. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into a live product demonstration. And what you're going to see here is a simple dashboard. And like I mentioned at the beginning, for the first 3 to 5 minutes, I'm going to walk you through some basic CRM fundamental functionality. And then I'll get into the nuts and bolts of quoting, job management, project management, and tracking, etc. So I'm logged in here as a salesperson, Vic Aldridge. He's an outside sales guy. He has a list of maybe 200 customers. He has some targets here that he has to meet. And every day when he logs into the CRM, he wants to understand how he's performing. Are there any quotes out there that needs to follow up on? Any hot opportunities that require his intervention? And also, how's he performing with relation to his sales budgets or his sales targets? I can see here that Vic's already met his quota for equipment sales this month, but his consumable sales is down. So he needs to focus that attention on increasing his consumable sales this month. So how does he go ahead and do that? Well, WebPresented now takes Vic's customers and stack ranks them. It prioritizes those customers based on which customers are most likely to get Vic to that sales goal or that sales differential that he needs to get to. So I can see here the customer at the top of the list, Transcend Techno. That's the customer that our system believes Vic should be contacting in order to meet his goal. Maybe this customer has a large quote out there. Maybe there's an opportunity that's closing. Maybe they've stopped buying for certain reasons. So let's go ahead and click on that customer. And immediately we can see what is the plan of action. What are the high value activities that Vic has to perform in order to rectify this customer, in order to bring this customer back on track. I can see here, for example, the health score is pretty bad. And the lowest score of his health is what's called the frequency score. And this tells us, in this particular case, that this customer usually buys from us every 2 days. But 15 days have gone by since this customer has not ordered from us, or since we would have expected them to reorder. So clearly that's a red flag. We take the guesswork out of it for Vic, the salesperson, and now Vic can start addressing the reasons why this customer has stopped placing orders. He can, for example, click on the account screen and find out any notes or activities. He can see uploaded attachments from this particular customer. What are our last recent meetings with this customer? What are the outcomes of those meetings? Are there any products that this customer is buying that they've suddenly stopped buying? And so again, by looking at analytics, just as I showed you the Netflix screen at the beginning, which showed customers who viewed this program also may be interested in these other programs. WebPresented CRM has a very similar product recommendation engine. So for example, as I'm quoting, as I'm building quotes, or as I'm interacting with this customer, I can see here that based on this customer's purchase history, they bought a lot of these aluminum panels. Well, they bought a lot of these panels, but they're not buying these boards that sit inside the panels. So again, purely based on data that you already own, that's already in your ERP system, WebPresented CRM can start making smart recommendations based on leading indicators of how we should interact with this customer. Now, of course, as well as being able to use ERP data, WebPresented CRM has a whole slew of built-in features and functions that make it easy for the salesperson. For example, if I'm calling on this customer, maybe I want to take a look at a quick map and see what other customers are in close proximity. Maybe you want to see, for example, for this customer, are there any open quotes out there? Any opportunities outstanding? Have they placed any returns recently? Any open orders? I don't want to have to bounce around between the ERP system and the CRM platform that sits nicely in my pocket on my mobile device. So WebPresented CRM pulls in all that information from those diverse data sources and consolidates them in easy to use, what we call our activity feed. Right here, I can get that 360-degree view of all of this customer's recent interactions, whether that be orders, quotes, open orders, e-commerce events, marketing emails, all of the above. I can start searching and I can understand before I call this customer, before I walk in the door, are there any action items, anything that we need to know about? Okay, very good. So that's a summary of the CRM capabilities, but today's session is very clearly about quoting and job management. So where do we go from here? Well, obviously, Vic's called on this customer. He's now started potentially identifying some sales opportunities. So let's go ahead and take these suggested products, and I'm going to simply highlight 3 or 4 of these items. Now, the advantage of a CRM over, for example, a BI tool is that a CRM is actionable. So not only can I get, for example, real-time pricing and availability on any one of these products, I can even click on the button that says create a quote, and it's going to go out to your ERP system in real time and get actual product pricing and availability, as well as lead times on each and every single one of these products that we're looking at. So again, by just clicking one button, I'm now starting to build a quote for all of the above products for this customer, and it's going to come up with recommended pricing for that quote as well. Now, of course, the quote header is pre-populated with customer information, so I don't need to. I know, for example, it knows the warehouse, it knows the location, it can understand this customer's terms, who the default contact is. We can set up what we call quote templates, which allow us to configure how this particular quote is going to look and appear to our customer. Additionally, Once I save the quote, this quote is going to now get registered with a quote ID, and this is a temporary quote ID that lives within WebPresented. But then, of course, once the quote's finalized, once it's sent to the customer, a copy of this quote gets pushed back into the ERP system. I can even turn this quote directly into an order from my mobile device. Extremely easy to use. Now, of course, I can add comments. So I can, for example, pull in emails from my customer pertaining to this quote. I can attach files, so I can upload, for example, any spec sheets, any request sheets from my customer, any supporting materials that help understand where this quote is originating from. Again, now clicking on the line item section, I can start to add additional products to the quote. So, for example, I can start typing a few part numbers, a few lookup name, maybe the customer part number, maybe vendor manufacturer part number. All of those items are going to automatically come into my quote. Let's go ahead and add one of these items to our quote. Immediately once I add it, it goes out in real time to the ERP system. It pulls back, for example, who the vendor is, what the units of measure are, product description, but it does a lot more than that. So whereas when we're in the quoting, when you're in your ERP tool, you can add items to a quote, and it's very much a very simple sort of transactional system, but it doesn't provide much guidance. It doesn't provide much help in understanding what else we could get out of this customer. Well, let's go ahead and click on the little pop-up window and show you some more detail about how this product looks and how we're adding this item to the system. We can see here, first of all, we integrate very closely with your e-commerce system. So I can pull in, for example, product images. I can even decide if I want this product image to show up on the quote and I want my customer to see what this product looks like. I can check the box that says include this product on my quote. We can pull in, for example, product attachments from your website or from manufacturer website, specification sheet, technical documents, installation instructions. All of those can get automatically attached to the quote or the bill of materials as I'm adding items to my quote. Again, in real time, I can go out to the ERP system and see how many of this item do we have in stock at this warehouse. I can search, for example, based on other warehouses. What are the other availability in other warehouses? And you'll notice in the pricing section, I have something called, in this particular case, we're integrating with a partner called SX.e, where they start to recommend pricing bands. So I can see here the target price for this product for this customer based on these decision metrics is $8.81. Now, of course, if I wanted to override that price, I could choose another recommended price. I can even come in and adjust the manual pricing. So, for example, if I wanted to work within a specific margin, I could update the margin on this price, and it's going to give me an extended price accordingly. But of course, that's just one section. I can edit this grid. I can edit the pricing directly from this grid. A whole slew of additional beautiful beautification features built into WPCRM. For example, the ability to highlight items and group those items together. Maybe this is faucets, parts. And of course, once I group items together, I can now add subtotals. I can collapse this group. I can display that group as a single kit or a single line item on my quote. I can apply, for example, margins at the group level. Let's go ahead and this entire group, let's apply a 50% margin to the pricing within that. And of course, it's going to update accordingly. Additionally, I can drag items around, so it's very easy for me to move items around within my quote, and of course that changes the sort order of items as they appear to my customer. Now, all well and good, very easy to use, easy to manage, but how is this better? How does this improve our experience for our users over using the ERP system? Well, that's where our intelligent predictive analytics comes in. So, for example, if I start typing a part number, not only does it go out and give me that product information out of the ERP system, but it also uses our advanced predictive analytics to understand, based on your purchase history, what other products are usually bought at the same time in the same basket as this individual product. So we can start upselling, we can start improving and increasing those sales directly from my mobile device, directly from understanding, just purely using your historical information that's already an asset of yours, that already sits in your ERP database. I can start making recommendations and suggestions on what other products this customer should be purchasing that they're currently not purchasing. Okay, all well and good. Simple quote. I can, of course, send this. If I click on the Finalize and Send section, it's now going to go ahead and pre-populate an email template for me. And, of course, I can modify the template. I can add additional attachments. If there's supporting literature, supporting documents, those can automatically be added. And, of course, the finished quote is going to look like a beautiful quote. You're going to have the ability to modify the template, formatting, page numbers, terms and conditions, all of the above. So it's going to look like a professional modern quote, not a sort of what we call the 80s dot matrix printer style quote that might come out of a traditional historical ERP system. And you can see here, this one even has the product image on the quote as we added it. Okay. All well and good, very good, easy for me to create that quote. Of course, I can send this to my customer, or I can push this quote back into the ERP system as a sales order. And optionally, you can put that order on in eHold, or you can just simply push it in as an order. So your sales team now become responsible for creating orders when they're out in the field. Saves a lot of efficiencies, it reduces the potential for error, duplicate entry, etc. Okay. Very good. So that is WebPresented's basic quoting functionality and capability. Easy to use, streamlined process, and very, very popular among sales team, especially organizations that allow their outside and their inside sales team to collaborate in the creation of quotes. But let's take this one step further. While this is very good and great for sort of individual, what we call onesie twosie type quotes, where we're picking up items from a list and I'm manually entering those items, easy to do. But now let's get a little bit more complicated, and this is where the job management portion of our system comes in. So sometimes we want to create quotes for a single customer. That's what we call a sales quote, and this customer will get that customer's pricing directly out of the ERP system, and we're going to send it a one-to-one for one quote to one customer. But let's just say there's a job going on. Maybe it's a construction project. Maybe there's a more complicated sales process around a project or a job management. I'm going to now add a new quote for a specific job. And you'll notice that the customer data input goes away, and it allows me to create an empty quote without a single customer information, and it's going to pre-populate that quote into a new template here. In fact, this actually automatically created a task for me. I'm going to go ahead and close out of that task that was initially created. So now we have some new information. We have job information. And this allows me, let's just say this is a common terrace apartment complex. Okay, there's an apartment complex going up. We know that there's going to be several bidders bidding on this particular project. And now I'm going to start building a job quote or a quote around this construction project, but it might go out to multiple bidders, multiple contenders. So we now have a sales process, and this is a very simple process, but of course you have the ability to add in multiple milestones or steps in the project. Maybe bids are due on a specific date. Maybe all contractors, the final contractor selection or the short list will be created on a given date. You have the ability to build steps within the process that allow us to now track the different stages and the milestones within the project. I can designate, for example, a probability of a particular project being completed or won, and I can also put in some deadlines, expected close date, delivery date, bid date, etc. Now, whereas in the original example, I just had one customer, I can now start adding multiple customers to this particular quote. So let's pick, for example, Transcend Techno is one of the bidders on this quote. Now, maybe we know who the contact is, and I can add additional items. We can say who, what their particular bid's going to look like. But we also know that there's another contractor out there that are going to bid on this quote as well. So I can now start adding additional customers. All of the above are going to get added to this particular job. So I can now track who is competing with one another. I can track win-loss. So, for example, I can remove items. I can say this particular customer or this particular contractor lost the bid, one contractor won the bid, and I can manage the win-loss between those customers within any given single job. Very easy to do, very easy for me to manage. Now, this particular job's now going to show up on each and every one of these customers' activity feeds. Of course, we can add additional fields. So, for example, you might want to upload architectural drawings. You might want to specify who the general contractor is, as well as any other audit files, etc., that you might want to add at the job level. Very easy to manage and very easy to report upon. Now, at this point in time, the quote header is going to look slightly different because now we don't have a single customer. We just purely have a salesperson and the ability to add comments, add notes, and add a historical history behind this quote. Now we come up to the list of line items. And often in the case for large quoting projects, maybe the contractor is going to send us, or maybe the customer or even the general contractor is going to send us a list of parts, a list of products that are part of the bill of materials. Now, you might not necessarily want to manually key those in. Maybe they came in spreadsheet form, maybe they came in an email. So WebPresented makes it very easy. Let's just go ahead and take this list of products here. I'm going to go ahead and copy from a spreadsheet, and I'm simply going to paste those items into my quote. Now, of course, we know exactly the line items. It goes in and it matches up those part numbers. It'll find them within the ERP system if they exist. If they don't exist, it's going to flag those items as potential non-stocks, or potentially I might have to go back in and refine those particular items. So very easy to either import from a spreadsheet, to copy paste, as I did here, from a list of items. And now it's going to come up with a nice looking quote with all of that bill of materials. It'll go out and it'll give me pricing based on what we call an all bidders account, which will give you a general pricing for this particular quote. And now you'll notice I can now send this particular quote to multiple bidders. In terms of tracking or forecasting revenue, of course, we know we're not going to be getting 3 times the amount of this quote. So we can now send this quote to different contacts of the different individuals. But for forecasting purposes, we're only going to be tracking this as one given opportunity, one given project. So we know that this particular quote is going to go out to multiple contractors. And of course, when I download it, I can choose to download it for any one of the bidders who are bidding on this quote. Easy to manage, easy to use, and again, provides a lot more value than a traditional single quote coming from the ERP system. Okay, what have I not touched on so far? Well, I know we're limited on time, and this is intentionally a very short session just to give you a feel or a primer of how our quoting and job management features work. What haven't I talked about that we're more than happy to go in offline in a one-on-one demo? Well, first of all, the ability to track win-loss ratio of quotes. That's huge in WPCRM. We have a lot of dashboards, reports that allow you to understand at the salesperson level, customer level, even at the product or vendor level, which products are winning bids and which products are losing bids. We have the ability, for example, to break quotes into multiple quotes, copy quotes, create what we call shopping lists, or the ability to create groups of products like kits or frequently purchased items that purchase together and simply drop them into a quote as a bundle of items. The ability to pull in supporting literature, supporting documentation, very easy to do within the WPCRM's tools. And of course, the ability to add workflows. A lot of our customers not only use quoting for their customer interactions, but their purchasing get involved with the quoting process as well. So if, for example, I'm quoting a non-stock item to my customer, I need to send that item to purchasing in order for them to follow up and get vendor bids and RFQs for vendors. We can manage that whole digital requisition process all using WPCRM's workflows. So, in summary, the WebPresented platform is not only a very robust CRM tool that makes life easy for your sales folks out in the field, both in mobile-friendly format and through their browser, but it's a full-featured quoting and job management tool. How is it different from competitors? Number one, it's extremely easy to use. As you can see, it's all web-based, it's all very intuitive, and it's lightning fast when it comes to adding items and updating quotes and sending to customers. Additionally, we use the intelligence provided by our predictive analytics. So we can start making recommendations and upselling directly there from within the quoting process. And finally, the ability to leverage the whole collaboration within your team. Your inside sales, your outside sales can work together now on quotes. They each share that visibility. Even the purchasing team, project management team, technical team, and sales management can all get visibility and access into the quoting process and can all do their portions and pieces of the quoting process using a single unified database. The advantages, of course, are that your customers now receive accurate information, nicely presented, and of course, you have a lot of efficiencies with the ability to manage jobs and manage multiple bidding contractors at the same time. Okay, I've promised you I'd stick to my 30 minutes. I've gone 2 minutes over, so I do apologize. Amanda from our marketing team has been tracking some questions. And if you have any questions on what you've seen up until now, by all means, please feel free to enter them into the discussion panel from within the GoToWebinar toolbox, and we'll read those questions out if we have time. What I'll say before we get to the questions is any further follow-up information, if you'd like us to deliver a single demonstration, a one-on-one demo, if you have more follow-up items that require a offline or a separate conversation, please, by all means, reach out to sales@webpresented.com. We'd be more than happy to get back to you and schedule a one-on-one demo. What we found, our reason behind WebPresented's success is it's very easy to replace existing quoting and job management tools using our infrastructure. We have a very robust data import and export capability, so you can literally get up and running with our quoting and job management tools within just a few weeks, rather than a long, drawn-out implementation process. Again, number one importance to us is our customer feedback, and what we found is customers absolutely love using our tool. So Amanda, enough of me talking, over to you, and please feel free to reach out and to read out any questions.
Yes, thank you, James. We had a couple questions come through while you're talking, so if you have any other questions, please send them our way, and then we'll get to them after these. But the first question that we had was, do we integrate with all Infor ERP systems?
Yes, so we integrate with SX.e, A+, Facts, SHIMS. We also have, on the manufacturing side, we've integrated with Infor's XA. So am I missing anything? And Visual as well. So yes, in short, yes, the system is ERP agnostic, and we've built out interfaces for all of Infor ERP platforms.
All right, thank you, James. And another question that we had come through is, can we punch this out to customers to use?
Great question. So the answer to that is yes and no. In terms of customers being able to access information, we have what we call a buying guide. And what that does is it enables a simple download of a spreadsheet from WPCRM that automatically can get emailed to your customer with a listing of products and descriptions in their required format. The customer then take that spreadsheet and fill in a single column that's usually sort of color-coded in yellow. And that column would be the quantity desired for each of those items. And so if you go down the column, say, 1 of that one, 10 of that one, a dozen of this one, and then send that email back, it's very easy to then re-upload that email from the customer and push that in. So that's the first customer usage case. The second is we have a very robust API. So if you have an existing website or existing customer portal, you can allow your customers to log in and push information back into the system. We do have customers of ours that allow their customers to log in to their system and enter quotes. What I'll say is in that there's a certain security roles you have to put in place, for example, hiding margins, hiding cost that you don't want your customers to see. So it is possible, but that takes a little bit of configuration and security setup.
Great. We had another question. Any estimating in job cost estimate versus actual management?
Great question. So, in other words, budgeting at a cost level, can you categorize items and estimate and then compare that with the actuals? In fact, yes. We have the ability at the job level to put in at either at the product category, at the vendor level, or at a higher product group level, you can start estimating costs. And then once you can't set those categories up, once you add line items to your quote, your bill of materials, it actually creates a comparison between your budget and the actuals that are putting in the quote. And as you adjust the pricing, as you adjust the costs coming in from vendors, then you can get that, marry those two up and start tracking your budgets to your actuals.
Great, thank you. You know what? Unless there's any more questions, that looks like all the questions we received. If you have any more, please email us at sales@webpresented.com, and we'd love to get back to you and give you some more information.
We'll also have a booth at TUG.
And yep. We'll be at TUG. So if you're attending, which we strongly encourage, please feel free to stop by. You can't miss us. We'll be a bright purple booth and follow signs to the WebPresented team, and we'll love to meet you face to face. So Gloria, I don't know if you have anything to wrap up, but that's it from the WebPresented team.
No, thank you so much. You guys did a great job. And I just want to remind everyone that's online that we will be posting this to our webinar tab on our website and also posting to the All Members Forum. So you can feel free to revisit any of the content that you want to take a little deeper dive into, as well as share it with colleagues and anyone else who would benefit from the content. So thank you again. James, Jeff, Steve, and Amanda, great content today. We look forward to seeing you all in Dallas. And if you have not yet made your reservations, please do so, particularly for your hotel accommodations. And the only other thing that I have to add, as they say in Hollywood, is that's a wrap.
Thanks, Gloria.
You're very welcome.